Yeah, there is this last issue that we need to discuss about the Borut Pahor, about his car, how he set one deliberately on fire in 2005. I should say how the Slovenian police and why the Slovenian police set Borut Pahor is. Where did Borut Pahor got this idea? Or I should say, who was behind Borut Pahor's idea to to do exactly what you see here, right? I did mention to you in this video here that I just published in part number 5. I mentioned to you in part number 5, I mentioned to you that there was such a thing like they wanted to get me killed before 1990. I mentioned to you a burning of the car, right? I mentioned to you in this part. So now I'm going to explain to you why they wanted to get me killed. Not why. I don't have to explain to you why they wanted to get me killed. It's already self-explainable. The whole thing I did is self-explainable. It explains absolutely everything about the stuff that went on. There's no need to explain anything about this stuff. No need to explain anything about why they wanted to do that. We know, we understand what the Serbian, Greater Serbian Chetnik state, Yugoslavia, Greater Serboslavia was. We all know what Yugoslavia was. There's no need to explain why they wanted to do that. Do you know what the motive was for these animals in blue here? Let me demonstrate you this shit bunker here in Novo Mesto. That's where they are hiding inside. When it comes to the Novo Mesto city. Let me explain to you what this shit bunker is here. How they got an idea to get me killed. Why this kind of stuff. Yes, of course, it might sound to you like, if you can prove this, my God. Yes, of course I can prove this stuff. That's what we are doing. Let this be the last part, 6 of 6, so that you're not going to really, there's not going to be somebody who's going to think something of me, anything. Let me explain to you why they did this. Actually, let me prove you why they did this stuff. Oh, my car was not exactly like this one, but one of the cars I had was just like this one. This was this car that I really, really loved. Lada Samara. Close, 3 doors like that. This is not about why they did. This is just to prove you that that's exactly what it was. We are talking about what used to be even Slovenian president, Borut Pahor, who ended up, what other than burning his own. Why? You know, in old times here, that used to be Yugoslavia, people used to race a lot with the cars on the road. They would fly with the cars. And I didn't have any kind of cars I would fly with. I had this Fiat that had a tires, basically also, this is also amazing. Father saved me from maybe even fatality or something by buying me tires that were at least tires that hold themselves to the asphalt, right? So it was such a shit tires that when I bought that car, that when I would go through the curve, you could hear, just by going slowly through the curve, you could hear the tires going, you know, you could think it's some kind of Porsche or something coming from the opposite direction or something if you were a pedestrian. But it was not, it was just an old Fiat. My father starved me also with his driving, with his slow driving. The slowest driver in entire Yugoslavia, not even Slovenia. He drove so slow that drove me completely insane. And husband of my sister, however, it was not husband because the two technically never got married, but they had a daughter together. He was a racer. He loved to race with the cars. And so I was growing up in this type of element. I had police 24/7 breathing on my neck, driving me crazy, and everything in this type of element is enforced against you slow. Everything is slow because the idea is to drive you insane. Slow, slow, slow. And when I got the car, it was shit, but I tried to make myself feel freedom. One of the videos I published also in the US where they tortured me, and it was American presidents, and it was senators, and it was FBI and CIA people that share with me a pleasure of opening a new, faster interstate roads and stuff, which they would also take me, right? And then they will put me in those cars and, step the pedal, to make me feel good about this MK Ultra. After extensive torture would also take place, where they would drive you crazy that, like in a heat, tortured and sitting in the back of the car. It added a completely different mental factor to this whole thing. And so the speed was just something that appealed to me. Anything fast. The car, I rated the car when I was younger based on the speed, based on how fast the car was. And I was not the only one. It was throughout the school, throughout the entire school, the kids, everybody, how fast can car go? It was not about what kind of car it is or safety or whatever, but no, sir. It was all about how fast this thing can run. And yeah, during MK Ultra, when I was around in Mercedes and BMW and all these manufacturers, I was the worst when it comes to speed. The first thing that I would ask about the car is, how much can the machine do? How much can the machine pull? This was of my biggest interest. Very, very bad stuff. Very, very, very wrong. Very, very wrong. But I was not a role model. Nobody was a role model. The neighbors broke several cars. Every neighbor had a crash, smash. The cars were rolling around. Call it a happy days. Nobody ever got killed. Somehow, miracle some way. Actually, one of the neighbors got killed in a car accident right here across the Kirka River, right on the other side. In that direction, like this. And that was a son from Igor Kotar. It just happened so. And so, this was not, of course, this was not a motive, but we're talking about Borut Pahor here. We're talking about the Slovenian president. You have seen how his car was burned. Slovenian police, this fucking animals in blue. There's nothing police about this KGB shit, garbage. They had a plan. They claim before there will be an accident that would involve other people getting killed. Look at him. He is a lunatic on the road. He is, compare me to the Mad Max. Road rage shit. And I really wanted to be a police officer doing this stuff. The thing is, I couldn't be anything in this society. And the thing is that it was a bandits, literally pro-Serbian bandits here in Slovenia, whom instead they entrusted police work, police job, with in Slovenia already becoming independent. So there was nothing you could do. Actually, really the only thing, and I did, it was left for me to do, it was to get the hell out of here before you get killed, before they kill you. The police already had a plan in place. These animals, local animals in blue, already had a plan in place together with the Milan Kučan, with the Borut Pahor, with the Golovic, with all these people, they already had a plan ready for me. You know what the plan was? The plan was to burn me inside of the car, basically. The plan was to crash the car and get me killed, throw me inside of the car, and fire the car up. But the car that I demonstrated you, Lada Samara, was not a good, I understand, not a good car to do that. In other words, I already interacted with the Borut Pahor, with Janez Ogulin, with police officers from Novo Mesto. Janko was involved in this. They already contemplated on getting me killed through the older Yugoslav cars. They actually even knew about which car they could go like this and easily burn. Luckily, at the time, I was buying myself this Lada Samara, which I understand it was not so easy to set me up to make it look like an accident. This is how fucked up this stuff is. So that I would not come and make a claim like the one I have made it now, that police eventually attempted to get me killed, set the car on fire and throw my corpse inside in there. As also as one of the reasons to cover up the past, the violence that went on also inside of the cars, where they tortured me also inside of the cars. What they did was Borut Pahor set his car on fire so that I could not come up with a claim. And so what they were preparing for me here in Slovenia, it would not look suspicious. That's all I gotta say for this video. Now you understand also this perspective, the point of view, how all this idea about having his car burned came into Borut Pahor's head of the Milan Kučan, of the... Like I said, my idea is not to insult Chinese Communist Party or anything like this. This isn't about the communism. This is about the Serbian ethnic cleansers, Russians basically here on the Balkans, inside of Europe, making themselves a bit too comfortable. Look at that flag right there. It stands up for the Russia right there. It's a fucking Russian flag. With the only variation is it's got something the same colors in the same sequence. This is basically what this is. When I started to get really angry about this whole thing in the US because of their Brito-American Russo collaboration with the KGB, garbage, with the stuff they did to me, and I contemplated on leaving the United States of America because they wouldn't allow me to be a police officer. I started to race in the US. I got the Mazda, and I took it for a spin one time just across the... I don't know, I really don't know how they call that, but it's like a 41st Street, Miami Beach, connected to across the bay, basically, to Miami downtown, right? So I took it for a spin, not really. I did push it about maybe 100 miles an hour, maybe 110 miles an hour, and it was a big deal. Apparently they saw me and it was a big deal. Nobody really came after me. But I got complaints. Rightful complaints, though. I'm not even saying anything about it. From the state troopers, from also from FBI, from CIA. You ain't gonna start doing this shit to us now, knowing about the stuff that went on here in Slovenia. No, I ain't gonna be doing this shit to you, but you're gonna be fucking running over my life together with the KGB, right? Because what determines me are my actions in your country, not your country collaborating and being in the same bed with the Russians. They're not, right? This is basically the way it is. I don't have a difficulty to tell what it was. This is exactly the way it was. American side, Central Intelligence Agency, FBI, police, knew all about this shit. What is fantastic about this stuff is that I was presented with idea on how, you know, if you go to the US, you're going to be, it's going to be different. You're going to be a police officer and this and that. Fuck, you're going to be a police officer. I passed all these examinations, everything. Would have been a better police officer than any police officer you had over there in the US. And qualified and everything. And I wasn't even suitable based on the way you did with my employment, demonstrate as an instability for a bloody correctional officer. And he was a correctional officer, and it was a police officer that were employed as a cops, as a police before. And they all agreed that I should be at least a police officer. Really, nobody again understood why I was not a police officer. So you know about my racing also in the US that I did, but you didn't want to know about meetings here inside of this home with the Russians, with the KGB, working, doing a job for them against me in the US. You didn't want to know, you didn't want to have any part of that. You didn't want to know anything about that stuff, right? Get it. I love this card. This was a kind of a card that I really pushed on the highway, it's like Autobahn here also in Slovenia, and raced with this car when I was young. And, you know, you never know what can happen to you. You don't have to get into a car accident. You don't have to anything like this. It's enough that you are in a country like Slovenia. I hear people from abroad, from other countries, whom Slovenes, by the way, have even hired through these Illuminati circles. Various YouTubers, all kinds of vloggers, travelers. Oh, Slovenia is so beautiful. It is such a beautiful country. It's so beautiful country. It's so wonderful. Wonderful people, big smiles. Is everything so wonderful? Impression can be misleading. And this is about impression being misleading. This is about what the world became. And the world became really just to see on my videos. He really looks so stressed out under his profile. He should be. He's got a good reason to be stressed out. Right in the background, he's laughing about it. Those are really a short smiles, I would say. Crazy. This was a two-term Slovenian president. This is the real story about the Slovenia. This is how they did with those that wanted Slovenia to become independent country, because of whom Slovenia actually is independent country. And this is a story about those who do absolutely everything or anything in this world for Slovenia to never ever even exist on the map. Now, after I have proven this situation of mine, and based on Slovenian see nothing, hear nothing, know nothing, I too am looking in a different direction from this whole thing, because as if it was one more time for the stuff that I have gone through, and this is what I got, the story would have been very, very different. Do I regret anything? No, because I really, really exposed this whole Slovenian thing exactly for what it was and exactly for what it is. Like I said, even the flag is the same. And you will remember this case, you will remember this video, because this is the video this is the case that fuck Russians up in Slovenia completely. You will remember me by having Vladimir Putin involved in beginning 1986 through what Americans, British, Germans have witnessed, unprecedented violence prohibition from exiting Slovenia ever in my lifetime. You will remember me by my exiting Slovenia, receiving death threats, police coming in our home, giving us death threats, ultimatums. After I bypassed all these mechanisms and got myself a job in the United States of America despite everything, with agency placement, job placement agency, Slovenian garbage, that charged themselves, I think, over $500 just to get me a busboy job overseas in the Bahamas, registered in Bahamas ship that sailed Fort Lauderdale, Charleston, Philadelphia, Nassau, Bermuda, down South America like Curacao and all those Caribbean islands that you have on the map. Escaping the death, a certain death against all odds. That's what you're going to be remembering by, not by your politicians lying on a TV, knowing that they are lying, knowing they are all in bed together with the Putin, with the Russia. You're going to remember me by the truth, by one man who made entire difference in this world by exposing this whole global apparatus for what it was. Against all odds, without a single person that would come forward, wrote an affidavit, do something about it, testify, stop this machinery, deadly machinery, proven beyond any doubt about what this was all about. There was a lot of good people inside, because if it wasn't a lot of good people, I would have disappeared even faster. There is a lot of good people out there, but there is a big problem with it. The problems can be felt inside of my videos about how the people are handled, how the people are, what people search for, and, you know, against all the odds. You know what a Slovenia is? You know what a Slovenia is? Slovenia is this thing here. This is what a Slovenia is. And you know what United States of America is? Think about this video next time when you watch the news and you see your dear leader, Donald Trump, and his beloved Melania Trump. This is a Slovenia. This thing here is a Slovenia. This is a Slovenia. This is what the world is made out of. This is where she ended. This is how you treated her. And exactly as is seen in this video here, in this exact video, that's how you basically treated me. That's the difference. Never be forgotten. That's a Slovenia. And that's America. And that's what the difference, the whole difference in this world really was in this case. The communist prostitute that prostituted herself in Italy as a child, and not only prostituted herself with her parents as a child, through the Milan Kučan political party. The same guy, this Borut Pahor, was involved in this. But they literally prostituted me and collected the money. Not in a sense of sexual prostitution, but of physical violence, literally. That's a Slovenia. That's how you treated her in the United States of America. And based on the video that I demonstrated you, prove you, gave you all the criminal evidence one would need to prove the case, I claim that's how you treated me. You will remember this video. You will understand, as an American, you will understand where you live it, what United States of America became, what it turned out really to be. So many of you followed this case since my early childhood. Many of you are still alive, know this case very well. There might be things that you did not know, that you did not know. And it's the first time actually that you get the oversight about the whole thing, about what really went on. But you got the oversight. Now you get the whole idea about the stuff that went on. That's Slovenia, and that's America. That's why some people that's how some people got to some places, and that's how other people got to no places. This is the evolution. This is about my evolution. This is about my life. This is where I am coming from. And I, as you know, compared Slovenia to a place known in Slovenia as a Huda Jama. These communist atrocities here in Slovenia can be maybe best still well preserved in this location here as to what Slovenia was right after the Second World War. This is my evolution. This is where I came from. And this is what the first time you get to witness. So next time about the Slovenia, when we talk about the Slovenia, be a little bit respectful. Have a respect. I'm a human being too. Don't think only about the money. Don't think about only your incentives. Don't think about only organized crime. Think about the people whom you kill with your conduct, presenting something to be, while keeping your eyes closed deliberately for other stuff not to be seen. This is my story. And this here, this is his story. He was a model back in the day. They literally contemplated on getting me killed and throw my body inside of the burning vehicle. I hope that tells you something. I'm an extremely cautious driver. I'm a safe driver. I got probably about 2 speeding citations in my lifetime, of which one was in California when I was doing over-the-road truck driving. That's called professional driving. Extremely respectful on the road toward distance, toward drivers, toward pedestrians, all kinds of traffic. Professional driver, basically. Extremely safe to be around with.